This is a presentation of Advanced Cell Technology. It's a bulletin board company, trader ticker ACTC. I like following along with these sector plays once in a while. For instance, medical cannabis stocks have been real hot lately. ACTC, of course, is a stem cell play, and they can move in bunches as well. What I did happen to note about this, stock's right back down on a bottom, holding a support right about 6.8 cents. Bearish indications in the indicators. I just want to see if it's going to hold this support, potentially try and make a move back upward, because we're seeing a bearish cross of the 50 and 200-day moving average at this point. So it's just simply at one of those points where it's time to watch and see what this stock's going to do in the future. I'm getting some potential hints in the MACD. As histogram bars are trending back towards zero, and across that time, the MACD is also trying to trend up a little bit. So we'll be looking for that bullish cross at 12 pass through 26 EMA and see if this thing's going to try and put together some sort of upward channel and trying to go into a little bit more of a bullish trend rather than the neutral to kind of bearish point it's at right now. ADX. All three components tucked right around 20. Again, that's a very neutral look. Money flow index, little pop back here in March where the stock was trying to go bullish. But again, back down below 50, that's bearish position, but not too far from the 50 marks, generally showing neutrality, leaning towards the bearish side of things. Now, honestly, this isn't a very good look at all of the accumulation distribution. See on a broad perspective, pretty firm downward trend. Jake and money flow, though, is given hints that might be trying to reverse course. By climbing back towards zero, that still says selling pressure over the last 20 periods is dominant, but by making higher lows, it does signal that the selling and buying pressure is somewhat starting to equalize, even though it's still leaning heavier towards the selling side of things. CCI, not getting a whole lot from that, basically just channeling sideways for the last few weeks. Full stow also shows no momentum in the play, down in what's considered oversold territory, but on a general level, I don't put a whole lot of stock as an indicator by itself for the full stow to be an oversold because it can ride down there for a long time. Right now, I just read that as, yeah, there is the potential of a bounce because it's in oversold territory, but most importantly, it just signals that there's no momentum in the play. Tricks, much like everything else, just trending sideways for the last month or so, but does have the potential of making a higher low over a little bit grander scheme of things, so worth keeping an eye on to see if it's going to push its way and break back up through zero to show a much more bullish look to the trend of the chart. RSIs, basically holding below 50, signaling bearish momentum in the play. But of course, the stock has pulled back from highs around a dime, consistently making lower highs, and right back down to that support point, 6.8 cents. And I think it's interesting to note how that trend line is tying right in with the 50 and 200-day moving averages. So that's going to be a pretty tough point if this can take on some upward pressure to break through those levels. A little bit further to the downside, if it falls through that support, I don't see more support coming in until down around 6.2 cents, which that's a pretty healthy drop from where it is, and actually would further strengthen this downward channel that's being created. So if this chart's going to try and reverse course, I'd certainly want to see it hold this support level and then try and take on some sort of upward push to see if it can break through that trend, because I also notice that there's some static support there. All that combined really reinforces the idea of how important this area is right around 7.5 cents, because if it can break through that and then come back down, sit on top of it, hold it as a new support level, it's a pretty good indication this chart's going to try and continue upward off of this bottom. There's not a lot of resistance in sight. A little bit more there around 8.5, but the next primary resistance is back up near those old highs around a dime. You can see this stock can put together some high volume days and just some huge moves. Stock basically doubling over the course of 4 days at the beginning part of 2013. 6.2 million shares traded, it's about average volume for it. So now I'd look to see if there's going to pick up some volume, try and come off this support level. I'd really want to see a bigger volume spike to see it try and blow through this area around 7.5 and solidify the idea that an uptrend is going to continue off of this bottom. And then things start taking on a whole different look, because then you're talking potentially about higher lows in the grander scheme of things. So it's an interesting chart sitting on a support level with a lot of things technically going on. So it's one that I keep an eye on going forward just to see how it performs. As always, merely my interpretation of the ACTC chart. Thank you for watching and trade smart.